some of them you can give. Just like this, this one already we have. This one, no, I'm talking about. So, so in a in a previous week we just we went through the clarifications or divisions of seven minds and so on, and also we went through the some definitions of like consciousness and so on, and also we went through the what is the definitions of perceptions or the direct perceiver, whatever it's so called. So on that the definition is like a knower that is free from conceptuality and unmistaken. This is the definitions of perception or the direct perceiver. And so over here now we have to know what free from the conceptuality. What is meant by conceptuality? Over here, just like we already told that there's two kinds of conceptual, that is meaning generality and sound generality. So just like the meaning is just like when someone give you information, then you in your mind you have something, right? Imaginations like that is called meaning generality. When you hear words, then explanation, then you also have to imagine something that is all come from the sound. That is called sound generality. So these are the conceptual thought. So so over here free from conceptual over here means for the any kind of object that consciousness see the object by clearly, not how to say, mixed with the conceptual thought of just like meaning generally and sound generally, any of that.
간지 아주 최 간디지나 셰라 도제 땅고래 도제 땅디가라다 지니 율데 사와지 차해지어레스 다 왕병은 수미는 니수 가가지레스 로또병 올라다 도제 땅에도 시부지게 전부자되어레.
So just like any kind of thing we see directly perceived by eyes, sense sphere or sense consciousness. So for that we don't need to have analyze or examine, but other like we some kind of data we have to thought by concept. So these are we need to analyze and to understand properly or to see clearly the things we have to analyze the properly. So we on that time we use the conceptual.
자자 다 왕병은술라 뭐 또바다들이 뭐출리리 빠시기도 율데 사원난고 사원나와 제로간 때네들라 또면데 서드 남들나 어디도 수송요레스.
So in Pramana Vartika or prime cognition, the text called Chandakirti, the comment.
Dharmakirti.
Oh no, Dharmakirti, the text for prime cognition, they over talk about this. Whatever the object we clear, Pramana Vartika, whatever the any kind of object that is clear, that the consciousness is free from conceptual for that object. Or the consciousness itself is free from the conceptual or the kind of meaning generality and sound generality.
다테오텔라 무슨 셈미칭이 시거도 셈마달라 냄비게 가려서 서투즈데 다 시디스 냉겨래 또바타 달지 머툴레 서투 밀리그리파 무슨 셈미칭이 시거도 다 셈마 싱데 운수미 난다 제파이 난다 그지 땅보데 율데 서투 도고아데 론도 제기어레 테마임바 넘버 체네 네 베고 서투 도고아레 그지니바 벤젤라 다 제시디 제 돈달라 서세 서토 서세야데기 그지니바 벤체데 제시디게 테마임바 제기어레스.
So So the in the patch, this one, not that this one. You have two patches. One is with only back side, nothing. There's one patch before we. Do you have? So in this, yeah, the headlines over there. So in the third paragraph, you will find the meaning. Of
운송글라 sarto 세데 nembigares.
so in the third line, they give the third outline, right? Third, the meaning of each division has 7 parts. So the first describing the perception of into 2, right? Definitions and division. So the definition of perception or the direct perceiver is known as it's like a knower that is free from conceptuality and unmistaken. Now, secondly, we need to know about the what is the how to say valid perception or a valid direct perceiver, whatever. So over here, we need to add only a newly incontrovertible knowers. So we use only a newly. So over here, means that any kind of direct perceiver or the perception, and also the inferential cognition or the these are whenever they see the object for the first time, they are called valid perception or valid indifferent cognition. So and later on the second moment, they are called how to say subsequent cognition. Subsequent cognition. Yeah, subsequent cognition. They are known as subsequent cognition. Hmm? This one, make more.
가르쳐줬어.
This is the Minder Mikhail.
알아.
So actually, I will show you one thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
다티 제바카도레 레용 그랬어와. 제바츠면 생일란 라돈 드릉즈 베제리 시고래. ndajida tunji njebanzine.
So these are when we come in the inferential cognition.
생이 그런데 그런 유르단 리거란 라던 드릉즈 베제리 있어대. 아니 제마 셜레 제마 토용고 있기로 발전.
The topic singiro.
아,
제가 생각.
라던 드릉즈 베제리데 로 topa marbe.
Topic singiro. So the conceptual thought they're talking about mixing of concept, meaning generality and sound generality. So in actually you can this you have book, right? If you go to the page number 45,
로 topa 되게. Got it.
and also the 45, you can have same like this, whatever, just like in they give you in make it paragraph very little bit shorter. So you have page number 45, the definition, right? You can see this one, and also the page number 49 also have this on the top. Yeah, direct perceiver, and you can have the first paragraph is actually from the textbook, and you can, when the paragraph is like little bit make it shorter, then it's the actual from the textbook. You can you can know from there. So that Tibetan text is translated in this book also, and so many of these I copy from here and make it easy to understand, print it. So you can check for the page number 52. This one, right? One paragraph again smaller. Page number 52.
제 도베싱이 들이베.
Mar.
네.
Didandang musum ki korang tu tenshagi.
알라.
Yeah, this one, and also the page number 53, middle paragraph, and also the page number 54. These are the actual from the text. Then this other are explanation or commentary.
One point of clarification. When we talk about direct perception, there is a little confusion in the dictionary between what Munsum is. It direct perception and perception are the same thing?
Yeah. So different translation, right? Some use direct perception and some use yeah. So so mostly I check for the dictionary. The perception means for the consciousness that come from with the using the sense. So I check for dictionary. Then I think that perception is used better. So we don't need to use the direct perception and so on. So some translators they say direct.
Well, I think
Right.
the reason why they use the word direct
Yeah,
is when we're talking
direct
about
perceiver.
having direct perception, but the mind doesn't get to be directly.
Yeah, that's right. So some translation they say perception, and some say direct perceiver. Whatever the meaning is same. Yeah.
디디.
Business.
와다 쳔마싱인데 다 주고 제바츠마다 무슨 좀 가래 있는데 거래. 쳔마스마다 율 당분 자외 로텔라 쳔마시 거래스. 산스크리트나 프라마나시야데 당분 자왈 고고도아. 토맘 당분 자왈라.
So whatever, just like any kind of valid cognition, we say whether it is inferential cognition or the perceiver, or the perception or the direct perceiver. So the valid over here means for the first time the consciousness arises to seeing the any kind of object for the first time is called the valid cognition. And also just like in the definition, it's definition of valid definition of valid perception, right? They use a newly incontrovertible. So it means that it's rejecting the how to say,
제시드 쳔마인 바체기요.
subsistent cognition. So it means subsistent cognition is not a newly. It is any kind of just like perception, and which is also the subsequent cognition. This is also the ANOVA that is free from conceptuality and unmistaken, but not a newly incontrovertible, because the subsequent cognition seeing the object for second time, not for the first time.
발전되는 얘기 남대 중지래 간제가 남대 케바스 숭이나 땡기면도 봐봐. 원숨도 지수 봐봐도 봐. 깨지기면 당번이 참아인라스. 누바다 대와 탐이 되고 깨지면 이번에 참아인 봐 빵바오 저 숭리.
아이 sama diring yi means. So in a
야르 케비스 문지래 인디는 장여래 여기.
so one of
로빈 추자이나.
so one of the Indian scholar, it's explained just like the any kind of perception and the indifferent cognition which see the object for the first time, they are known as the valid cognition. And rather other the second time, they are removed. They are not. They are talking about they are not the valid perception. They are in the subsequent cognition.
So Buddhists don't have subsequent cognition?
Buddha,
Do Buddhists have subsequent
Buddhist,
cognition?
Buddha don't have.
그래.
Sangila semamado chishele mara.
이 말에. 제가 문숨도 지수 봐봐다 그 깨지마다 뭐 참아이나 누바다 대와 탐이 되고 깨지만 이번에 참아인 봐 빵바오 zel라브레. 다남 저바데 저거래. 남긴 거지 니바다 참아이밀 저거래.
So one thing is, right now we say that any kind of perception and the valid inferential cognition, which see the object for the first time are known as the valid cognition, right? They are called the valid cognition. Now that what kind of debate is come, the second momentary of omniscient consciousness. What about the second time? First momentary, second momentary, lots of momentary coming, right? Every second they're changing. So we call it second momentary. Is what is the valid perception or the subsequent cognition? Because now the thing is Buddha, whatever see is consciousness of Buddha always called the valid cognition. He never used the subsequent cognition.
어느 통영 그랬어. 날저런 것음라 까는 담정에 비캡을 거래. 날저런 것음 있는 세마이 비캡을 거래. 로베기기 날저런 것음 여러 때 세마이 민 야, 날저런 것음 그징이 바 세마이 밀라 저버져요.
So just like in the letter in the text we can find just like a yogi perception. So in general talking about the yogi perception is valid cognition. A newly incontrollable consciousness knower. So now whether just like now that debate again comes like the yogi perception which in the path they are doing.
That is all.
So what are their second momentary? What are their valid or their valid perception or their subsequent cognition? Now debate again. We follow the debate.
다디 삼로 망보다는 마도 다가서 시 감보지 전에 니고 말. 날저런 건 숨생인데 간대지 그거도. 간대지는 날저런 건 숨생이로. 간대지는 남견스기래. 그래서 배기 생일을 또 로진 생일 돈에 삼로다 랑랑 내파냐 받치니 데니지니 저기나 데니 펜다용 그래서.
So these are just like first we have to know the proper what is the definition, what is the proper meaning of yogi perceptions, and what is the omniscient, right? Omniscient cognition of a Buddha, whatever, just like the omniscient cognition always in Buddha. So first we have to know what is the definition, what is the meaning of that two kinds of consciousness, and through that one we have to analyze it or examine. Then we can find whether they are necessary be a valid cognition or they can be a subsequent cognition.
So
yes.
For a normal person, when we're talking about a sense perception here, why is the second moment of perception not valid?
So
Since sense perception is not conceptual.
now things that over here the translation problem. So the valid, if you go through that Tibetan text, it's called Sema Pramana. Pramana means the one any kind of consciousness that see the object for the first time is called Pramana. So in English translation they use valid. So actually kind of just like how to say
마투와 잠질라 벨리 라금
this one.
서도라고 말했어.
This go.
어때라?
So just like now the difference is coming, right? The words itself is English translation is not really properly giving the meaning of the Tibetan one. So they use the valid cognition, right? So and also any kind of consciousness which is unmistaken, free from a mistaken kind, is not necessarily valid cognition. That means kind of second moments of the any kind of consciousness I sense, and they are called a subsequent, but they are never called a valid cognition. In that, ignition can be a, but if you have valid cognition, it not necessarily be free from the conceptual. Now you got it. If it is a valid cognition. If it is a valid cognition, it not necessarily be free from the conceptuality. Just like inferential cognition also can be a conceptual, but they are also valid. So kind of just like when you practice impermanent or emptiness, if you see the emptiness for the first time, right? You are using logics and so on. Then this is called a valid cognition again.
그 깔라스.
This quick
뒤와대.
거기 뒤와디 제시된도 valid 가지 말을라. 당아도 당아 두고
밸리디는 제시대 율대사도 떠거래 베스 같이 되다.
디 어디 콘 식 두고 건조기
어때랍다.
식 당다 두고 말을라. 건조기 어디기.
Understanding the nuance in translation.
Yeah. So So I tell you, right, the word's meaning is used a little bit different. So if you say valid in English, right, it can be second moment and so on. But if you go to this is yeah, it's kind of designation. If you I will tell you one thing. In Mahayana school, Madhyamika school, any kind of consciousness, second mummy, whatever they are called, a valid cognition, different. Now in a school of lower school, they call valid cognition for only for the first time. One over C, they are called a valid cognition. In higher school of Madhyamika, they call any kind of whatever the second time, third time, what they are also called a valid cognition. That is different. So the school is making different views on their own.
단다이 코나딜 세메칭이라 사르투스 라기도 와시. 제자 사르투스야 되기 제시드 세마 임바 제야 돈다레스.
So actually the
율드 또나 율드 만으로 또바이나 제시 세마 임비 캡고 말레스.
so just like in the definition, it's valid perception or valid cognitive definition is say a newly incontrovertible knower, right? So newly controvertible knower, they call valid for them, not for the second time and third time. They are not they are you can say they are correct, but they are not valid because they are not the first newly yeah.
아니 세마스디가라 가체 제거레스 가체 까거레스 때마인 넘버 제거레스 최대 분바이는 분바마인 바제니 분바인 바토고 거와.
So any kind of valid cognition, you'd have to reject the how to say reverse from any kind of object, reverse from being. Just like if you say any kind of valid cognition which see the pot, right? A pot, eye consciousness, we see the pot apprehending the pot for first time. It's called valid cognition. So what is rejecting is referring from the being not a pot. It's rejecting. You have to reject.
제시긴가 강 또바다가 란진디고마도 가체 제게요 말이스.
So kind of subsequent cognition, they don't have any kind of rejecting the how to say reverse from being. So it see the object whatever it see, it's apprehending, just apprehending the object whatever he apprehend during the first time.
It doesn't. The first time it has to do the negation of everything that's not a pot.
Yeah.
And the second time it doesn't have to do that.
Yes.
드니 제게 미도와스와 딘디가라 대기 남대중 다 야르케베 숭데 따라 문숨다 지수 봐봤다게 깨지마 땅보는 세마인라 저디가 깨지 땅보되게 가자 지 째네 코 살도 도거와 때마인 넘버 째네 니 코 도거와 깨지니 반에 때마인 넘버 째 땅에 깨게요 말까 아마 잘차게 따가라 고양이양도 잘되고 말다들 가자 째 땅에 깨요 말와.
So so kind of just like the text before we say one of the Indian scholars, they say
all 땅 얘기를 중
kind of perceptions and the interval cognition which see the object for the first time, they are called a valid cognition, and rather than that any kind of consciousness see for the second time, they are not they say that they are not a valid cognition. So over here they are rejecting the when we're talking about the valid cognition, they are rejecting the how to reverse from being.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, Alexander Burson had an explanation of the way we use the word valid in response in Americanized Buddhist philosophy. Like when he says the Vajra, that what we call valid is what I'm composed of. So as soon as I start to have after direct perception, everything in my past that puts those parts together is actually polluting, but it's still a valid perception, it's not a correct perception. So when I look at this, I call it a Vajra, and someone who shows up for the first time today calls it that funny pointed thingy.
But that's subsequent cognition.
But even in the very next moment after direct perception, it starts to be polluted with my
Then-
past experience.
Then
So it's valid for me, but it's not correct.
No, the first time you see it is valid. From then on, it's something.
And I was asking about.
so what is
I wasn't getting into mental perception, so I wasn't getting that from limited
What do you say?
So I wasn't asking about the second moment of any mental perception, strictly sense perception, but before it gets to the mental perception.
Uh-huh.
I'm asking about the second moment of sense perception. But you answered the question.
Okay, this. That's yeah.
아이,
That's yeah.
질로.
Tasle.
어다 된 뒤갈라다 세마스 뒤갈라 율데 마노로와 아니 율데 당보른 잡아질라 다 당보른 잡아질라 세마스 거래스 다데 가레나다 덴디질라 세마스 거래 다 딜레 예나세요 왕의 인의 라링은숨 나저응은숨 다 왕봉은숨 가전 제세게 먹어지 이경은숨라 발절 디바제 다른 리싱인데 문숨생인데 다 라리 남바상 좀 다강가 그란디 라린데 거르네 된도 거 말에 다 도대바제 아니 센잠베 tanto gara rari tinto gala rari sidigala khana khona chobe sheba sedeta sheba ji yulchinji sheba ji yulchikinji wata pe jinam yangarwa rari ki phagi karso orda yula jim sheba jmado chi zunga gyuni yomare teme insan ko min singidela jinam selabare the Rari sing the two strays.
So next is they have divisions into four, right? The perceptions is divisions into four. The sense perception. So we don't need to give further detail, and also the mental perception. And third is self-knowing cognition. Self-knowing cognition. So within the four schools of Tibetan Buddhism, some assertions or some they believe in self-knowing cognition. Some don't. Just like the lower schools of Sutantika and Chittamantra. They, or you can say the mind-only schools and the lower schools, Dodeba. Yeah. So it's kind of lower schools. They assert or they believe in self-knowing cognitions. So over here, when we talk about the object, what is the object of self-knowing cognitions? They only bring the aspect or only bring the consciousness. The object of the self-knowing consciousness should be consciousness. Aspect or consciousness of a consciousness, aspect of a consciousness. You got it? The apprehending object, the consciousness self know only apprehending the consciousness.
So the consciousness is the object of apprehension.
Yeah. So object of apprehending object of self-knowing cognition. Consciousness only the object of apprehending object of self-knowing cognition. So I will give you. So we can actually it's coming. So actually the definitions and so on coming after, right? We will have definition. What is the definition and so on. So actually also just now we are giving you how to say just in some information so you can hunt. So
look
so you can I will give
American food.
So I will I will show you, right?
Yeah, no meal. Milk come after. You test,
This
not
one,
test,
yeah.
I don't
This
know.
one. This one. Yeah,
던규르지 돈다르지 닝두지 시거레스
that's cool.
아이
Ipagave.
야
So if you go
Or
through the
Robert.
page number 60
야
of this page, yeah, 60 of this book, the book you have, right? So in the bottom you can find what is meant by self-knowing, cognitions, and so on. Here. So actually and also just like you have how to say, before Laura email you are kind of, this also have the definition and so on over here. So over here they write apprehending aspect of a consciousness that is non-conceptual and unmistaken is called the self-knowing perception, or sometimes self-knowing perception and self-knowing cognition is different. Okay, self-knowing perception and self-knowing cognition. So apprehending aspect of a consciousness is called self-knowing cognition.
단데디 예와셰브 갑들어왔다 예와라 소소 예와 디 왕봉무슨 이기무슨 라링무슨 나중무슨 강게 칭이도 양셰 용거레스
So over here we are just in the text they are just dividing or divisions of, they are just giving the names, divisions of each and kind of self-knowing and yogic perception, whatever. In later they will give you definition and what is the definition, how many divisions are there. So you will give in further detail in later.
단다
Yeah.
수업 지시에 있는 때니지만 24조도 꾸규체리 용거레스
So just like Kishila thought, just like if you give right now, just give us some meaning, then in later you might get more proper meanings and so on. For just like for right now, for just for information.
초점 된 거로 단다다
So just giving this one side, not probably what is that. Yes.
This might be a very simple question, but some schools posit this and some schools do not. But why isn't this true? It's like I see the pot, and then now I know that I saw the pot, and I know that I thought about seeing the pot. That's not difficult. So why isn't that by itself proof that this exists?
So how to say? You can ask me. I will. Actually, I can give you answer, but I will ask. So if I give you information, right? Some schools say, so whether you see any kind of thing, right? You have to know from some else. That is called the self-knowing cognition. And some schools say this not need to be know from some self-cognition or kind of consciousness, but it know you know it by experience. Now you got it. So they give you example is like in a kind of winter time, if a mice bite you, some kind of mice bite you, then you feel something happen, but you don't know what it happened. So in that summertime when it thunder, it feel pain for your feet. During that time, you remember, oh, that mice bite me because of the your pain from the thundering. It's some relations with the thunder that your feet will get pain. So they kind of like they give you example like that.
It's their way of saying my corns are aching. It's going to rain. You know the old wives' tale, if your corns ache, it's going to rain. It's basically their version of it.
So mice, some kind of mice bite in winter time. It's happening. I don't know. It's in the text showing, right? So might be in India there might be have, this is text coming from Indian text scholar. You can in Western you can say unconscious. When you bite you don't know and you cannot realize that is called unconscious. But if you get further you remember, right? That's called conscious. So kind of they give example. So if you the one who reject the self-knowing cognition is the one of the school is called Madhyamika. Consequences schools of Madhyamika schools. So they reject the self-knowing cognition. So that for if you want to know further more details about that one, then you can have a text called entering to the middle way by sorry,
나와라 봐라.
Chantakirti, entering the middle, the test called entering the middle way school, Uma. So over here you can find the more detail about.
잔데디
Sama-
잔데디 시에는 도심 투모로 쪼진 시거리.
This one. And over here, just like we are talking about the what call Sauthantika schools and Chitamanda schools, mostly based on these two schools. We are not going further on the view of Madhyamika schools. So just like there's a commentary on the entering the middle way school by Gesab Jerimboche. So whatever, if you want to have more information, I will share you the PDF file.
전다 우마다 세대 말았다. 우마다 세대 라베인데 콘도 각만 되게.
그거 뛰어다니도.
제도 그래.
Yeah. No. It's not a Madhyamika. It's called view from the Chitramantra and the Savatandika schools. These two schools are two. One is the based on these two. One is called Madhyamika school of Chitramantra, Mahayana schools, and one is the lowest Hinayana schools of Savatandika schools. So for that you can have
루빈 추라당
this one.
초랑 공부 쪼진 시거리.
So over here, mostly based on the view of Dinaga and Chorara,
추라.
Dharmakirti, based on their view. So mostly talking about that.
길루당 니마다 그 유가자께 말했어.
So actually, it's not being because of divisions of Kagyu Nyingma, but it's based on the view of Dinagas and Dharmakirti.
세미 중대다 초랑당 추라니 쪼리.
So actually, the if you go through the text called the prime cognition or the valid cognition. So over in the beginning, right? In the beginning of the book, you will have the information properly over here, which based on which and which. So over here they give a introduction, right? Introduction notes, whatever, for how many page? For 48. Okay.
그
Yeah, 40 page for information, introduction. So over here he gives which this lyric from which schools and based on which text, who is the writer of the text, is give you proper information here. So it's based on, just like I will tell you, Dinaga, right? There's a called Dinaga called a text called Pramana Samuja, or Compendium of Prime Cognition. One is that, and one is the commentary on Dinaga Pramana Samuja by Dharmakirti. Is called
세마대진
7 Treatises of Prime Cognition. It's called Pramana Vartika. One is called Pramana Samuja and one is called Pramana Vartika. Based on these two, the text awareness is coming from.
저때 길루 그 니마 같이 셰 거나 지대요 말했어.
So the best over here must be based on the true man of the true scholar. So we there's no, just like we get, this is the view of Gilupa, this is not the view of Sagyapa.
니네 뷰 거나 시거 말해.
Not the
타와 거나 시거 말해. 니 율기 율첸 로이기 율 간데는 절기 유메 율첸 로라 니페 세마임 바다 제시 임바 간데 임민데 디시까지 시거와.
view la
Hai.
desu
하이.
lago show the samja view
어따 뜨르
tawal ko man
타와까지 시거 말아.
mara view la desu lago ya
아,
Dutsu. Sometimes
Dutsu.
Dutsu la goyero. So it's talking about the aspect of only on the base of Dinaga and Dharmakirti.
So to clarify, the book is actually presenting more than just the Madhyamaka view, but its ultimate explanation in the book is Madhyamaka. Meaning it's talking about the Deva and
Samsamba. Only on the
only presenting Dodeba and Samsamba, or is it also going to present Uma?
no Uma.
Okay.
The best over here only on the Chittamanda and Southern Tiga schools.
거기 유구 하고 고용 그랬어. 세리 고라나라 율진의술 유진로인 잘술제데 subject 장 거래. 인도가라 고 둠다 수술 타와 둠다 지데라 타와 좀민기 개발 잡아라. 타와데까지 말 디고 말고 타와 줄도 암텝 줄도 주고도 가세. 단다도 빼 시박의 율드 컨디션 절개메 율젠 로기 율드 컨디션 절개메 율디란신 가래 임민 뭐연이 수도 가래 임민 때까지 시도하래.
So over here, just in the text of collection of compendium of Buddhist psychology or Buddhist science, the text coming later, right? It's about talking about. In generally, they divide the section into two kinds. One is talking about the object, and second is talking about the object processor or the other kind of yulchen.
율젠 로인 잘술.
So this object owner, whatever object processor, whatever that divide into object and the object processor. So talking about the low consciousness. So we see so actually it's when we go through, if you go through the how to say Buddhism, we said view in Tawa, translated into this one. Tawa means talking only about the emptiness and soul. But if you go through the view, so we talk about that emptiness kind of view, selflessness. What is the view of selflessness in the lower school? What is view of selflessness in the high school? The view normally on the that kind of talking about the reality of the phenomena. Normally, view means.
Will you explain a little bit more about the difference between, in the book it's mentioned about mistaken consciousness versus wrong consciousness. Can you explain the difference in that? And that may answer those questions.
Mistaken, not necessarily wrong questions. Your conceptual is mistaken, but not necessarily a wrong question.
But what make a consciousness a mistaken consciousness?
Now you go to the this one. That two other logic.
아이
Two other logic.
라디시나
This going at YouTube.
록시 다
Juila to chipna il to.
로시 시디갈라 율데 다 줄지데 율젠라 여바 용그레 율라 여바 용그레스 베르나 디 리디나라 디 줄지데 리망부지 자용도 베르나 티네쟁기 둥가르 서브난 거래 둥가르 서브 마르데 코 이 땡 간살라 네기 왕기 율데 디저데 데 줄지데 줄지데 미실 르마도 유르골레 차요 말레스.
So when we're talking about the how to say just wait. When we're talking about this, it's like what is it? Forget. So talking about the mistakens and wrong consciousness, right? So when you're talking about the wrong consciousness, so any mistaken can be from the object or it can be from the object processor, or the how to say subject. Yeah, subject. It can be mistake from subject, or it can be subject, or it can be from object.
Pena
Yeah.
oh.
So no. When you talk about the wrong consciousness, mistake can be either one. So just like if you see the
Mistaken is only from the subject,
if,
and wrong is from either.
no so so just like when you talk about kind of consciousness, we call it when you have jaundice, right? You see the any kind of white color into yellow, so they are wrong from the consciousness, right? Subject, not from the object, like that. Ani?
Pena Junshin Dorne Wanshi Yores. Maranzota, Relidan, Motadan, Kakput, Shibun Rudicala, Tangazo, then the Relidan, then in the day on the gala, Junshin the Dugo Marte, Mazu, Jujik, True Hachan, Juban Yubangi, Jushin the Droton Gores, the Tulji, the you 10 layers.
So kind of consciousness, that perception, eye consciousness, right? When we moving our car very fast, when you are traveling, you think that you are the roadside, the trees, and they are moving, right? They are moving. So this is kind of like karza
Tuji 10 layer.
migla.
Then
So
ngazu desa de 10 de mejor de chadio.
so just like when we are traveling, right? We say the mistaken, whatever they are mistaking on the base, but where you are staying. Just like when you are driving car very fast, and we told it the mistaken in the base of when you are driving, just like in a car. The car is
ngazu mige
fasting.
norio mare, Junshin norio mare, Junshin an tongore. Then the hazang jobo inza, kuti wangeda ngazu roa nangore.
So kind of just like this kind of consciousness when we are car is moving very fast, right? So actually we see the trees. Actually tree is there, and we see the our eyes see eyes not mistaken. The mistaken is because of when car is moving so fast, so we are mistaken.
What's the day that Tuji 10 layer part, Tuji Yula part, Tuji Yujan part, that day Jarkebage, Soba Mamboore, Tungar Servo de Nawanshige, Tuji the Yul, Tungar Gangla Yorebe, Michigan La Yorebe, Kareturguars, the Mamboore.
So we call it a mistaken base. So kind of just like in a subject, or in an object, or just like subject or object, and also on the base when you are traveling, we call it mistaken base. It might be on the object, or it might be on the consciousness, it might be on the where you are, the situation where you are.
Lovin Chujo in Bayo, Lovin Chujogi, Tuji the Mishi race, Tuji Michigan Yuchen Layer, can't say the teenage inza, Mishi de Tibi Nase Wangi, Mishi the True the Ores, they won't get Tungar Servonanger, Tungar Kwan, be Kareji Rapaina, Kareimbaina, Tungar Yitang, Tungar Katola Tulramato, Tungar Ibla Tulio Maris, Tulna, Yula Tulina, Chatamchel Tulgures.
This go.
Chucho, Jagar, Indian scholar. I don't know.
How to say? One of the scholar. This go. Chucho. Just wait for me. 추초래 만천 초.
추초래.
마오천 초.
그저 아무 거다. 발제 추초 니는 가져도 올 때가.
Not even. So Dharma.
어떤 때는지 인길.
Dharmabhadra. So one of the Indian scholar, Dharmabhadra. Chucho. I will search to give. I didn't remember the name. So Dharmatara. Chucho.
우따라.
Dharma Uttara. like chokra, yeah,
Chö-
uttara.
Re.
So dharma, he's dharma uttara, uttara, uttara. So he when we're talking about just like the consciousness mistaken by the jaundice, when you see the a white conch and the yellow. So he talk about the mistaken basis not on the object. He talk about the mistaken basis on the consciousness or the subject. Because of if he is mistaken to the object, then he also mistake for the shapes of the conch and so on. So white conch, the shape of white conch is still he see the shape properly. So if not, he said not mistaken on the object, but the basis talking about the he's mistaken on the subject.
이 자마 로시 코랑을 갑돌레티가라 디딘다 때도 강간이 던지 라 살로 당초 그래서.
So when we in the time of when we come to the topic of wrong consciousness, then we can also give proper explanation from other textbooks and so on.
주지 몽버로 다데 디 팔절 리게나라 살보였어요.
So also in some texts, Samarigin by the first Dalai Lama is called Ornament of Valid Cognition. So also they gave proper explanations and so on. When we reach in the talking about the how to say the wrong consciousness, then we will give you proper meaning of where the mistaken. So we mistaken on the subject or the object or the whatever the base when you are in the situation.
다랑 리딘 리소 섭섭대. 하고
So
선
did you get some information about the self-knowing cognition?
Yes, that,
야.
what makes sense to me is in some schools they say that the perception of some other consciousness can be correct. In other schools it cannot be correct because it's necessarily combined with previous experience.
라리나
I will tell you one. So over here, Rang self-knowing. Self over means for the consciousness self. So consciousness, what the knower is consciousness, and the knowing object is also the consciousness. So the aspect, what do you say? Yeah, aspect, right? So the knower and knowing are also the same. Both are consciousness, and so they are how the one thing is how we know you see the things. Just like you see right now, when I take the bell, right? You know that you see the bell. Now how you know that, because we say our consciousness see it. So who know the consciousness see this by called self-knowing cognition.
So Laura, would this be in the ballpark of metacognition? Okay. So it's probably like the most pristine metacognition. Just plain.
가르쳤어.
In the psychological terms, we should be using her. But this is called metacognition.
Metacognition.
Metacognition,
Metacognition.
where the mind sees the mind.
Yeah.
Is that right?
This is called the self-knowing. So one we so metacognition, you say metacognition, right? Whatever metacognition or self-knowing. So the subject will know two things, right? Either it's kind of outside or inside, we say, and in kind of other than consciousness, right? They are called the outsider, who see the consciousness only, so insider. The consciousness, some see only the consciousness. You cannot see the outsider, like form and so on. So those who see the consciousness only is called the self-knowing cognition. So those who see that, just like when you have eye consciousness, you see the object outside and so on, right? They are known as outsider. One who see that only the subject, one see the object also. Kind of just like eye consciousness see the object, and with this consciousness, there's a consciousness called self-knowing cognition. That see only the eye consciousness. He cannot see the object.
What? Just
I was. Now you got little bit more. It can be valid cognition. It can be. If we say valid cognition, you have also a valid self-knowing cognition, also have valid and subsequent cognition. Subsequent both. So just like so one thing is, right now we are dividing, right, 7 categories. Then we in a further we conclude in 3. Then those 3 we conclude in 2. So when we get to the more detail, then you will know how it's. Right now you're just giving the wider way, so might be you feel confused. You have this one, you have this one, then.
If we wait, it'll be answered.
Okay. Break.
yeah, this so just
Okay, now you're gonna have tea.